Uh, Hello again. This is your favorite, Warlock, shit poster, doom and gloom angry dude, Umbra and or Zero. I am here again with a fun, um, tree thingy I made. Um, I made one for demo a while ago. Uh, just out of the spur of the moment to make it. The AF tree I feel is a lot better because I love Affliction and I know how it works better and how it should probably flow better. Um, so I think this is a more solid tree overall. But then again, I don't know. Uh, but yeah, we'll just get into it. So yeah, some notes. So this for this tree, I made Seed of Corruption baseline. Same thing with like Implosion and Rain of Fire. It's kind of stupid that Warlock has to path into their AoE button to get to the rest of their tree, whether it's for single target or AoE, and the AoE buttons should just be made baseline. The damage style of this tree is, or the damage playstyle is still based around Rapture, with some added dot interaction to make it feel more like a dot spec. I reduced a lot of 2-point talent nodes to 1-point while keeping their 2-point versions, and it's just because many of the 2-point nodes I felt were unnecessary as 2-point nodes. I also attempted to add and move nodes around in a manner that made sense and flowed better overall. So like, as you can kind of see here, it's like I have all the drain, all the filler spell stuff like mostly centered over here. I have like your core ability things kind of in the middle, and then I have like your extra dots and like rapture stuff all on this side. But yeah, without further ado, I'll just get into this. So UA, it's the same as it is on retail. It's a cast time dot, slap it on a target, call it good. There's really not much to talk about there. Here I have Perdition. I think this is an old talent artifact ability. I don't remember, but basically, targets suffering from unstable affliction take 10% increased damage from your agony and corruption spells and 5% from left rapture. I felt like this is a way to kind of hone in the single target without, because I know their whole thing is they're still probably suffering PTSD from like Legion F and it being stupid. So like this is just a way to make only like your primary target takes the increased damage, and other targets don't get the same bonus as well, obviously. This could have problems in PvP, but I don't play PvP, so I don't care. Ride the Nagi, same thing. Starts at 4 stacks, ramps up to 18. Dark Virtuosity, this is one of the nodes I made. A 1-point node and kept its 2-point value, because on live it's a 5 and 10% damage amp. This is just 10% across the board. This is the same as it is on live, except for Siphon Life. I think I buffed Siphon Life. I think I buffed both of them by 5%. But Siphon Life's getting the damage amp to 30% on retail a week after I make this video, so this is kind of the same as it is on live, but Kindle Malice, same thing, just Rapture damage increased by 8%, Corruption damage increased by 20%. This is another 2-point talent node on retail that I just made 1 point and kept its 2-point value. Here, I moved Relinquish, because before, Relinquish is like down here on the other tree, or on the retail tree. I just put it up here because I feel like it's not capstone worthy, and it would be really nice to have, just to have AF have a more consistent soul shard generation, because it doesn't, outside of killing stuff with UA on it or drain soul sniping or what have you. So I just moved this up here. The number 1.35, I don't know if that would be too much, too little. I honestly, because again, this is make-believe, making this stuff up land, so yeah, just threw 1.35 in as a general number. Nightfall, same as it is on live. Corruption has a chance to cause your next Shadow Bolt or Drain Soul, deal 25% increased damage. Shadow Bolt is instant cast and drain soul channels 50% faster. That's pretty much, it's the same as it is on retail. Here, same thing as it is on retail too. Drain soul or improved Shadow Bolt nodes. Not much to say there. Same with this. It's the same thing as it is on retail. These, I believe, are the same. Yeah, these are the just exact same as they are on retail as well. Yeah, it's just Vile Taint Phantom Singularity node right there. That's pretty much it. I guess I'll start over here. Haunt is the same. I just baked Improve Haunt into itself to where it applies 1 stack of Shadow Embrace or refreshes its duration. I actually could probably swap these two. So like, let me change that. Really, now that I'm looking at it, and then what does that improve? Yes, we're doing this live because I don't particularly care. Update talent. Let's make this improve Drain Soul Shadow Bolt. Make this Haunt. Update talents. Make this Withering Bolt. Where is that at? There it is. Oh, yeah. So yeah, so you go Shadow Embrace into Haunt. Shadow Embrace is the same thing as it is. I think I just changed it to 10% from like 8 or 9% that it is now, just because the 9 or 8 is a weird number, and I'd rather 10 here, 20% instead of some weird like 19 or 18% thing. But yeah, going on over here, Rotten Decay. This is a PvP talent that Shadow Bolt increases the duration of your unstable affliction and corruption and agony on the target by 3 seconds, and Drain Soul increases the duration of your 3 main dots by 1 second. I feel like Aff should have some kind of dot extension in its talent tree. Shadow Priest has something similar where it's basically the same thing. It's just this is currently a PvP talent and it's not in the main class tree or spec tree. I would like to see this in the main spec tree, just because dot management I know can be kind of a pain in the ass, but this would help it not be as bad, I feel. But also it doesn't necessarily feel mandatory, but like it is kind of a quality of life thing that may or may not be good. And Cutting Cruelty, it's the same as it is on retail. Your filler spells have a chance to trigger a Shadow Bolt volley that does damage up to 5 targets. Pretty simple. Now Dark Glare I have changed kind of significantly. Sort of, kind of. So it's the same as retail Dark Glare. Lasts 2-minute cooldown, lasts 20 seconds. It does damage, which is increased by every damage over time effect I have on the target. The changes I made were I made the damage duration, the dot extension on it from 8 to 10 seconds, because I feel like 8 seconds kind of, it sort of doesn't feel like much. And 10 seconds I don't think would be too broken, but I honestly don't know. And then I think I buffed its like baseline damage, because I think it's currently like 25% of every damage, or its damage is increased by 25% for every damage over time effect you have active on their current target. I just bumped it to 50 just to make Dark Glare, because like it's kind of sad that like Dark Glare, it's our big 2-minute cooldown, and it does like 3.5 to 4%. Oh no, it's probably like 4 to 5% of our overall damage, and it just kind of feels like it's there, you press it, and that's all it does, which kind of sucks, because I feel like it should be an impactful cooldown, which is why I added, if you can see the text at the, you should be able to see the text at the very bottom of, during its duration, Dark Glare will generate 1 soul shard every 5 seconds. So last 20 seconds, that's 4 soul shards it generates over that period of time. I added this because I feel like this would be a good way for how Affliction is currently played with Soul Harvester and Hellcaller. I feel like having Dark Lair generate soul shards during its duration would help with the current playstyle, which is for Hellcaller, it's you save all your shards and then you dump them all with Malevolence, and you just try and get big Blackened Soul damage. Or with Soul Harvester, you get the soul shard generation, and you try and fish for Succulent Soul procs off of the Dark Lair generating soul shards, or just naturally generating soul shards, and then you feed the Rapture playstyle that way. This would make, I feel, Dark Lair a better cooldown because it's 2 minutes, it hits really hard, but it also gives you resources. I know Destruction is the only one right now where you press your big demon and it gives you resources. Tyrant too, but that's only if you play Soul Harvester. Soul Harvester and Diabolist actually kind of sort of, just depending on which big demon you're summoning. But Aff doesn't have consistent soul shard generation, and I feel like giving it to Dark Lair would make it both A, an impactful cooldown, and B, like a source of guaranteed shard generation outside of playing Soul Harvester with Shadow of Death as its capstone. But yeah, that's kind of just the change of Dark Lair that I made. Sacrolash, I think I just changed it to extend curses by slightly longer. Because I think on live it's a 0.2 second increase duration to curses. I just made it 0.4. I don't think it's that. Maybe again for PvP, that's kind of broken, but I don't play PvP, so I don't. And then here, Infirmity. So I reworked Infirmity, kind of, sort of, compared to its retail version, where it when you Vile Taint, Vile Taint applies extra stacks when you hit targets, and then Phantom Singularity causes the target to take 15% increased damage. I changed it to Vile Taint cooldown reduced by 10 seconds. Stat count of Agony is increased by 4 when applied by Vile Taint, and targets damaged by Vile Taint take 10% increased damage from you. So Infirmity, I gave Soul Rot and Vile Taint, Vile Taint and Phantom Singularity cooldown reduction. It would make Vile Taint 20 seconds, which would help with Affliction's current problem of having to tab target Agonies like 5 seconds before their duration is supposed to run out. But by the time you finish refreshing all those Agonies, Vile Taint comes off a cooldown like 3 seconds later. So like there's that weird, you can't catch the refresh of your Agonies with Vile Taint on live recently, or live currently. So I figured making it a 20-second cooldown with Infirmity talented would make that not being able to catch dot extensions or refreshing not as bad. Also, I made it to where it doesn't feel as bad. It may be better in AoE because you can take I added the 10% increased damage clause to it, so it wouldn't feel as bad taking it in like a key or like a heavy AoE boss compared to Phantom Singularity, which has been basically directed and made a single target talent. And then this too, the thing I added to this is Phantom Singularity cooldown is reduced by 15 seconds, so it would make Phantom Singularity a 30-second cooldown versus a 45-second cooldown, which would make it line up with cooldowns better. Since it's being held for a minute anyway to be paired with Soul Rot every single time, but with this it would make it every 30 seconds, so it wouldn't feel awkward holding on to a cooldown for 15 extra seconds just because it pairs well with a minute cooldown and it being 45-second cooldown and all that stuff. Tormented Crescendo, It's the same as retail. When Agony, Corruption, and Unstable Affliction are active, your Shadow Bolt and Drain Soul have a chance to make your next Rapture cost no soul shards and cast instantly. I just buffed the chance up by 10% each, because I think on Shadow Bolt is 20% right now, and Drain Soul is 10%. The reason I buffed that is one of the capstones is related to Tormented Crescendo procs, which I'll get to later. But yeah, I just buffed the numbers on this to make it happen more frequently. Focus Militancy, it's the same as it is on retail. Actually, this is 5% higher than the buff it's getting on the, was it the 17th? Yeah, the 17th. This talent node is actually going to 25%, up from 15%. Before it was made a 1-point node, it was 30%. So this was just one of those 2-point talent nodes that made 1 point, but they kept the 1-point node value for some reason. Yeah. Here, Contagion, same as it is on live. It's 1 point, and it's the crit strike damage of your 3 main dots are increased by 30%. On retail, it's a 2-point node. It's 15 and 30. I feel like it doesn't need to be a 2-point node, so I just made it a 1-point node. Same with Malediction. It's a increases the crit chance of your 3 main dots. Again, it's a 2-point talent node on retail. That's 5 and 10%. I feel like it should just be a 1-point node that gives you 10%. Now, one of the bigger changes is to Malevolent Visionary. So my version reads as increases the damage and duration of your summoned Dark Lord by 50%. So it makes it do 50% more damage, and it lasts 10 extra seconds, so it lasts 30 seconds total now. This would also increase the number of soul shards generated from 4 to 6. So you get more soul shards over a longer period of time while Dark Glare is out. Also, when Dark Glare extends your damage over time effects, it also increases the tick rate of those effects by 25%, but does not reduce their duration. So basically, it works like Creeping Death, which is where your Agony, Corruption, Unstable Affliction deal damage 15% faster, but they still last the same duration. So the idea, again, was to make Dark Glare feel like an actual, like, big boy cooldown. So with Visionary, it makes it just even better. Like, your dots are ticking more often, so they're doing more damage. The Dark Lord lasts longer, and it just does a lot more damage by itself, so it doesn't feel like oh cool, I press it and I get dot extension and like it tickles enemies with its baby eye beam. No, like this would, I feel, make Dark Glare hit a lot harder and feel more cooldown worthy, because like, man, it sucks. Like, I press Tyrant, oh cool, Tyrant is ripping Demon Fire bolts, and like he's actually doing damage if you play Diabolist, whatever. Infernal kind of is like kind of cool. He's more AoE focused, I would say. But like, you know, it's cool. It's like he's generating soul shards for you, and like you're like just slinging chaos bolts while it's out. You summon Dark Glare, it like just pops out, and it's like, hey guys, I'm here to do stuff. And he just kind of sits there floating, acting like he's doing something, but he's just whacking people with a wet noodle, essentially. So yeah, these are the two things I would like to see Dark Glare maybe go into. Buffing Dark Glare baseline, having it generate soul shards while it's active would again make the spec, I feel, flow a lot better too, and help with its weird, like, sometimes you get 6,000 shards in 10 seconds, sometimes you somehow lose shards in those 10-20 second intervals, you know. And then this just, you know, making Dark Glare interact with your dots more, making them tick faster, making the spec feel like it's more dot centric, as I feel it should be more dot centric, but that's another argument for another day. So yeah, that's pretty much it for Visionary. Withering Bolt, I think I changed it back to its Shadowlands version where it was 15%. 15% per damage over time effect, up to 45% on the target. So I think on live actually, let me look at that. Let's see. On retail right now, it's 8% increased damage up to 24%. This again would just be a way to. I just buffed it. A lot of the single target stuff or add stuff like Perdition is mostly just to like keep the single target on specific spells so that it doesn't become a problem of if its single target is really good, it's like spread cleave is really good. With stuff like Withering Bolt, Haunt, Shadow Embrace, Dark Virtuosity, Perdition, these are all single target focused things, but they make it to where the AoE doesn't get out of hand, I feel. So yeah, I just buffed this just to make 24% doesn't feel like a whole lot. 45 to me looks like a cleaner number, but that's me. And then Soul Rot, same thing. It's the same thing as it is on live. Cast it hits 5 targets, does a bunch of damage, does double damage in on the main mob or in single target. I kept the casting drain life from any affected or from any enemy affected by Soul Rot thing. I have an idea to make like a Warlock like class tree video, but that'll be a later me problem. And then here, improved Malefic Rapture. Malefic Rapture damage increased by 10% and reduces its cast time by 20%. I think this is just doubled from what it is in retail, because I think it's 5% increased damage and a 10% cast time reduction. Yeah, it's pretty much simple. It's simple. It flows with like the Rapture side of the tree, which is this side. But yeah, here is Xavius' Gambit. This is its original 2-point value, 30%. Or UA does 30% increased damage. Yeah, I just buffed it back to its original 2-point value node version. I know it's getting buffed to 20%, I think, from 15%, but it's still, I think it should have just been 30%. Creeping Death, same as it is. I already went over this. This node is, so this tree is structured kind of similarly to the current tree. It just, the other tree has like some weird like half broken nodes. It's not symmetrical, and that bugged me a lot. So I made the tree symmetrical. But like there's a node over here. It's like perpetual instability. It's like some weird like, it's like volatile agony where like you refresh agony or unstable affliction with like 6 seconds left, and it does like a little burst of damage. That sucks. I don't like that. So I remade it into Cascading Calamity. This was the old Azerite trait where whenever you cast Unstable Affliction on a target already afflicted by Unstable Affliction, it increased your haste by X amount for X amount of time. In this version, it's 8% haste for 20 seconds. 8% I feel doesn't, for a maintenance buff, doesn't seem like it's too bad, but again, this is me making stuff up and, just trying it out. So I'm not a game dev. I don't know if these numbers would be too high, too low, or what have you. Then I also added the clause of Unstable Affliction damage has a chance to generate a Soul Shard. Again, 3 ppm. I don't know if that's too high or too low paired with everything else. Again, I'm not a dev. This is just me making a for funsy tree. I don't know if 3 ppm is too high or too low or what have you, but again, this would help with single target, and that UA is another way to get soul shards outside of agony, and in this case, Dark Glare. Malign Omen, it's the same as it is on retail. Casting Soul Rod gives you 3 applications of Malign Omen, which Malign Omen, your next Malefic Raptures deal 20% increased damage and extends the damage of your, extends the duration of your damage over time effects and haunt by 2 seconds. Dot extension, it's 1 minute. It's tied to Soul Rod, which makes it a 1 minute cooldown for 6 seconds of extra dot extension outside of Dark Glare. I like this. I like this as a way of maintaining dot duration while you have it, which helps with like if there's like a bunch of mobs or like it's a council cleave fight and there's 4 bosses. It's kind of a pain to like, okay, I gotta stop casting Rapture, I gotta go Agony, 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 slap you way up back on the main target. Okay, cool. Now I can keep doing damage, and like just keeping dots up on 4 targets is kind of a pain, just depending on how the fight is made and stuff too. So it's just I kept it. It's nice. Here I have something I made up called Encroaching Curses. Whenever you cast Malefic Rapture on a target suffering from unstable affliction, it spreads the curse, applying agony and corruption to a target around it that does not already have agony or corruption already applied to it, but at a reduced duration. So the idea behind this, reword that real quick. If all nearby targets have agony and corruption on them already, this instead increases the duration of agony and corruption by 1 second. If absolute corruption is talented, the targets instead take a tick of corruption damage. So the idea behind this would be to you throw all your dots up on like a main target, and like let's say it's a council cleave fight where you gotta dot your main target and you just gotta like move or do all your stuff, and like setup is kind of rough, or like you don't want to like go like agony, your opener isn't seed, agony, all my other dots. This would just let you throw up all your main dots on your main target, and you hit Rapture, and it like sort of smart spreads to enemies around that main target. This is like a neat idea, I think, of like, oh cool, I can spread my dots. That doesn't take 2 to 5 GCDs to apply all my dots to everything. It's just I do 3 GCDs on one target, I do my main rotation on that target, and all the other mobs are getting afflicted with agony and corruption on them, which I think would be a neat idea. And this would work with absolute corruption too, so it would apply absolute corruption to those mobs if you were talented into it. And then agony, it would theoretically go up to 18 stacks if you could maintain those other stacks on other mobs. But yeah, this was just an idea of me wanting to be able to, like, I can just set up on one mob, start doing my main damage thing, and like all of the dots get slowly spread around to other targets without having to waste like 2-3 GCDs on like a seed, and like, you know, if the seed target runs out of the group that the tank is pulling, or the tank pulls it away from the group before the seed goes off, it feels bad because then you gotta waste another shard to throw another seed out, and you know, it's just annoying. But yeah, Malefic Touch, this is the same thing as it is on retail. Rapture does an extra thing of damage instance to damages. Malefic Rapture deals an additional hit of Shadow Flame damage to each target it affects. I couldn't think of anything to really change this to, so I just kept it as is. This version is like the retail version, Scales of Mastery. Not much to really talk about that. Call of the Week, this is another 2-point node that I made 1 point. Rapture damage is increased by 8% for each enemy it hits up to 5 enemies. It's 4 and 8 as the 2-point version on retail. I just made it 8 because, again, I'm trying to get away from 2-point talent nodes, unless they're like really, really good. Now for the capstones. So over here in the kind of like Drain Soul filler spell site of the tree, Malefic Grasp. This is an old ability. What it does is, while channeling your Drain Soul, your damage over time effects deal 20% increased damage to the target. Shadow Bolt damage causes your damage over time effects to deal 15% increased damage to the target for 3 seconds. I don't know if 3 seconds is right, but basically Shadow Bolt would give the damage amp equal to whatever the Drain Soul cast time would be. So like if the Drain Soul cast time is like 4 seconds, the Shadow Bolt thing would have like a 4-second duration debuff thing or buff on you that would cause your dots to do more damage. This is also purely single target, because you can only Drain Soul or Shadow Bolt one target. So this would help with, again, keeping its single target profile locked to single target, so it's like spread cleave or council cleave AoE like doesn't get out of hand. Plus I think it's neat. It makes it feel like your dots do damage too, outside of, you know, big rapture windows and stuff. So yeah, no, this is just kind of why I included that. Death's Embrace, I reworked this to the old version, which was your Agony, Corruption, Unstable Affliction, Drain Soul, Phantom Singularity, I think Seed of Corruption, dealt 50% increased damage, up to 50% increased damage on targets below 35% health, higher damage increase against lower health targets. Should be a update. So this, I changed, basically I changed it, Death's Embrace, to make it feel, kind of give Affliction that super execute fantasy that I personally like. And this buffs your main abilities, so your Agony, your Corruption, your UA, your Rapture, and your Drain Soul. Drain Soul, it would make Drain Soul just like the super giga execute ability, which would be really cool. Maybe could change it to where Rapture is only affected by like 25%, so that doesn't get too silly in like AoE scenarios. But yeah, it's just the current Death's Embrace is like kind of fine, but like it feels, I think it's, what is Death's Embrace currently? It's a 10% damage amp to everything except Drain Soul, like I have here. I had a Drain Soul just because I wanted it to be part of like the Giga, like this is the execute talent. Drain Soul does double damage in under 20%, so like I feel like this would just be nice for that. But yeah, Dark Harvest, it's the same as it is on retail. I just added the clause of the crit and haste effect you get after casting Soul Rot is doubled if Soul Rot only hits one target. So it gives it AoE and single target applications. So instead of 4% crit chance and haste, you'd get 8% for hitting one target. But it's still the, what is that, 20% crit and haste if you when you hit all 5 targets. Yeah, I just wanted it to feel better in single target if it needed to be, or like if there was a fight where it's like Old Grax, or no, Old Grax isn't right. What is it? Brute Twister, where like you have the main boss, but then you have ads that spawn periodically. There's like fights like that where it's like you do want the cleave value of Dark Harvest, but like, you know, if there aren't ads up and you have your Soul Rot stuff ready to go, you can just press it and it still won't feel as bad. Moving on to the second to last capstone I made up, I called it Volatile Afflictions. And it reads as Malefic Rapture causes your damage over time effects to flare up, dealing 40% of spell power. It's just a placeholder number. Additional damage over time up to 120% spell power per damage over time effect you have on that target over 3 seconds. If this effect is reapplied, any remaining damage will be added to the new volatile afflictions. So basically, it works kind of like Withering Bolt, but for Rapture, in terms of your 3 main dots will give you the damage, but it also gives Rapture a dot that works in AoE and single target, and it works like Devouring Plague or Soul Anathema. So like if you reapply it, it just it adds that new damage onto the old damage. Again, this was to make Aff feel more dot centric while also keeping the Rapture playstyle, and I feel like something like this would be kind of cool to have in the game. Yes, it works like Soul Anathema does currently, but this would be like in case I made this as in case they get rid of hero talents kind of thing. And you just have baseline kits again. So yeah, that's just kind of what this is. And then the final capstone is Pulsating Decay. Consuming Tormented Crescendo causes a whirlwind of disease on up to 4 targets. It should be 4 targets. 4 targets. 4 targets affected by your damage over time. Effects. Dealing again 20% as a placeholder number, scales the mastery. Spell power, shadow flame damage to the targets and nearby enemies over 2 seconds. Deals reduced damage beyond 5 targets. So the idea of this would be sort of like a dot, so kind of like Shared Fate in a way, but it would be like a pulsating like ring around those 4 targets that would do damage over 2 seconds, and it's like a weird like Shared Fate Shadow Flame combination. I just think this would be kind of neat. I thought this would be neat for like a pure AoE scenarios, like a key or like a council cleave fight, maybe with like a bunch of ads. And I made it to where it procs only off of Tormented Crescendo procs, which is also why I buffed it, the chance of having it activate earlier. So it wouldn't be like every Rapture you get this. It's like, no, you have to get you still have to use your filler spell to get the Crescendo procs to activate this. So it wouldn't be a guaranteed AoE thing, but it would still be, relatively consistent. But yeah, that will be my Affliction tree thingy that I made. I know I rambled, I know I made live edits, and I apologize for that, but I'm only doing 1 recording of this. But yeah, without further ado, let me know what you think of this, and I will see you all next time. Goodbye.